Did you know that the only thing you really need to do to carbon dioxide to make it a poisonous gas is to take one molecule out of its structure? Then you got what you call carbon monoxide. And what carbon monoxide does is it's a type of gas, and when you breathe it in, it actually attaches itself. The molecules attach themselves to your oxygen receptors in your red blood cells and keep you from being able to absorb oxygen when you breathe. And so basically it's asphyxiation from the inside out. Now what happens is somebody who's been exposed to carbon monoxide, if they're exposed long enough, they can definitely die. If you go to sleep while you have it, they say never let a person who's been exposed to it fall asleep because they might not wake up. And so I think there's a very powerful lesson in something as scientific as just gas, for example, whether it be a relatively harmless gas like carbon dioxide versus carbon monoxide, a poisonous gas. We got to understand that the way false teaching works is a lot similar to that. All you got to take away is just one element of truth to make the lie all the more worse. I mean, because so often we reject what we know is outright lies. But when you just take away one element that makes it what it originally was, then you have a problem. Then it's more easy to go unnoticed. Carbon monoxide, for example, is an odorless, practically indetectable gas. So you can't really perceive it by just breathing it in. You don't even know you're being exposed to it. That's why they have carbon monoxide detectors in houses. But, false teaching can be a lot like that. All you need to do when it comes to false teaching, all someone really has to do is take away one of the core fundamental elements of the molecular structure of the gospel or the teaching of the Word of God and twist it in such a way that they either omit an element that is supposed to be there or they add to it. And that's when we have problems. That's when we have problems, when we take the Word of God, we take away from it the entirety of it, or we add to it things that just aren't supposed to be there. So, that's why it's so important that we have a constant exposure to the Word of God. That is like the oxygen, that's like the air we breathe. And somebody who's been believing false teaching for a long time needs exposure to the actual preaching of the Word of God. They need actual exposure to the Word of God to clear out their system of the lies they have been believing. And that's why we got to constantly be putting the Word of God in our minds and hearts to clear out all that negative stuff that just is not compatible with the faith and just is not true. We got to do that. We got to be, as Romans 12 says, do not be conformed any longer to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your minds. And some people have grown up in a religious environment that seems to be Christian, but they don't know that they've been breathing carbon monoxide all that time. They don't realize that they've been exposed to a really skewed, messed up version of what the gospel is, what the Word of God is, and what it actually teaches. And that's why if a pastor ever tells you, no, I know what I'm talking about, don't search the scriptures yourselves, just believe what I say, you should not listen to someone like that. A good pastor or preacher will tell you, examine the scriptures yourself, learn to study the scriptures on your own, educate yourself before you just take what I have to say at face value. Hope you found this message encouraging and informative. God bless.